Okay, yes, I'm Shane Mele. I'm Navarre's Exploration Manager. Unfortunately, Jeff couldn't make it today due to illness, so I'm the stand-in for today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about our gold projects in Central and Western Victoria, and then, as we alluded to just then, Staveley Minerals have hit some nice copper out in our Staveley copper belt, so I'll briefly touch on that. I can assure you there is gold in some of that copper, so I think that qualifies me to talk about copper as well today. Just in regards to the title of Victoria's Gold Renaissance, it's really been led by Kirkland Lake, as we all know. Some of the terrific grades they're mining out of Fosterville at the moment has really given the whole Victorian exploration scene a bit of a kick. So there's us, and there's also Catalyst, obviously, and Chalice and Kalamazoo, all doing this great work and trying to find the next big deposit like Fosterville or Bendigo or even Stawell. I didn't change that picture last night just to have myself on the front cover, but that's the way it is. That's the usual disclaimer there. Just a quick corporate snapshot of the company. The current share price, I think, is about 11 cents as we speak, so market cap of 55 million. The biggest thing to take from this slide is we've got $10 million cash in the bank at the moment, so that means we can execute all our drilling programs, which we're currently completing. The board of directors, they're all familiar with the style of mineralisation we're looking at, particularly in the Stawell. They've all been board members or managers at the Stawell Gold Mine with MPI mines back in the 90s and early 2000s. The rest of the team, exploration team, have also got a lot of experience in Central and Western Victoria. The top shareholders, of course, have to mention Kirkland Lake Gold at 10%. They're one of our major shareholders. There's a Victor Smorgon Group, the 1832 Asset Management, and the directors hold about 8.5% or close to 8% as well, which I always think is a good sign for directors to have a bit of skin in the game, which makes us look like they've got belief in the exploration team and the projects. So that's really positive. So where are we? We're in Victoria, of course, located in the Golden Triangle or just outside it, undercover. Our major two advanced projects are Irvine and Tandara. So Irvine's within the Stawell corridor. Tandara is north of Bendigo under shallow cover. We have several other key prospects that are early stage discoveries. Leggy Logan, which is also in the Stawell corridor. We have St Arnaud, which is up to the north, and that's just chasing the mineralisation that was mined in St Arnaud under really shallow cover, and we've been able to track that undercover up in St Arnaud way. And then Glenlow and Eclipse, they're out in the Staveley belt, and we've had very good hits of gold and base metals out there. So that's a basic summary of where our projects are. Our main focus at the moment, though, is at Irvine within the Stawell Gold Corridor. So this is a diagram of the Stawell Gold Corridor where we're focusing most of our exploration at the moment. The key thing out of here is that up here is the Stawell Gold Mine. Between Stawell and Ararat, we've produced production of about 6 million ounces. 4 million ounces of that 6 million comes from the Stawell Gold Mine, which has been consistently mined from about early 80s till about now, so about 35 years of continuous production. Along this Stawell corridor belt, we've really just explored Irvine at the moment and just touched on Leggy Logan. We've made 3 discoveries here within the Irvine basalt dome. You can see some of the intercepts there. I guess the important thing, well, an interesting thing there is at each quarter of the end of each year, we've made a discovery of something new. So we're hoping that trend continues. There's seven or eight domes of basalt through here. We own the tenements 100% outlying those basalt domes, and basically they're a continuation of the Stawell belt that contains the mine. So how do we go about finding the next Stawell? Well, the first thing we do is we look at the Stawell mine. What does it look like? where's the gold, where is it located? So what we're looking at here is a long section and a cross section. So this is a long section, it runs parallel to the lodes, and here's a cross section cutting across, probably about there somewhere. And the key things here is that this ore body has been mined down to about 1.6 k's below the surface. The series of these red blobs, each one of these red blobs is the ore chute, and the ore chute contains about 100,000 ounces per chute. The surface expression where this comes up to the surface is about 900 metres in length. So that's the surface footprint of basically of a 4 million ounce ore body that lies underneath. Of importance is the location of the gold. It occurs on the edges of this basalt dome that you see in yellow here, which is a Cambrian basalt. It's very rigid, very hard, and it's surrounded by siltstones and sandstones, and they're very soft. So it's the contrast between these really hard rocks and the soft rocks that creates quartz veins or dilation for the gold to deposit right on the edges of that basalt contact. And that's a key component of how we go about finding these gold deposits further south of Stawell. So how do we find a plus 1 million ounce deposit? Well, we find the surface footprint and then we drill deeper. So this is a diagram of the Irvine gold prospect. Again, you can see the yellow lozenge of basalt, which is about 9 kilometres in strike length. We've made 2 discoveries on the east flank of that basalt dome. Resolution lode was the first one, which we made in 2016, Adventure lode 2017. You can see some of the intercepts there. I think in the previous slide, what we were showing at the Stawell Gold mine, it was the grades between 4 and 6 grams, and that was mined at that grade for, as I said, 35 years. These grades compare quite well, and we're right there at the moment. We've got 2 rigs drilling here right now, one at Resolution lode and one at Adventure lode, and they'll keep continuing on to the end of the year and probably into next year, trying to chase these lodes down deeper. But we're very excited about this program, and we can't wait to start looking at some of the drill core. This is the next project or prospect further south of Irvine. It's another dome, another basalt dome. It's called Langy Logan. This one's a little bit trickier to drill because it's got a tertiary basalt cover sitting over the top of the basalt, the Cambrian basalt dome. So the tertiary basalt's that blue stone. You see a lot of buildings in Ballarat, Bendigo and Melbourne that are built out of it. So it looks really good in the building, but for us it's a real pain because we've got to drill through it and it's really hard. But we can see through that and beneath that tertiary basalt by using some geophysics techniques, such as gravity. So this coloured image we're looking at here is a gravity image. This is all covered in this tertiary basalt. It's a bit of a nuisance for us, but we can see through it, and where this rock is more dense and hard is where the basalt lies beneath that tertiary basalt. So we're looking at about 12 kilometres of strike length there. We've only really drilled the northern bit, so the tertiary basalt gets deeper as we go this way, but we're not fully sure the depth of these tertiary basalts at this stage. But the important thing is there, when we've drilled holes on the edges of these basalt domes, we've got gold grade. So these 4 holes were just drilled last year. We hit the basalt flank and we got quite good grades, 4.8, 7.2. These sort of grades are quite good, and it's what the sort of grades we're sort of seeing at the Stawell mine. Here's a cross section through, it's about in this location up here. As you can see, we drill angled air core holes. There's a quartz gravel at the interface between the older rocks and the younger rocks. The old timers had a go at those even under the tertiary basalt, so there's gold in those, but we're not really interested in that. If we get to gold hits, we are, but our main game is hitting the quartz lodes on the edge of this basalt. So we're getting some really interesting grades there, and we're following them up right as we speak. I forgot to mention there's a 9,000 metre air core program, which is basically commenced about a week ago, and it'll extend till about March next year. Moving on to the Navarre Gold joint venture project. So we are in a joint venture with Catalyst Metals on this Navarre Gold project. It's located north of Bendigo along the same major Whitelaw fault. We're looking at that it has a similar size gold footprint as the Fosterville and Bendigo style mineralisation. So you're looking at about a 15 to 20k sort of footprint. We're seeing the same thing at Navarre and obviously their Four Eagles project to the north of us. We're getting some really great high-grade hits through there. I think Bruce would have touched on this a bit earlier, but in our ground, the depth of cover is about 20 metres and probably goes to about 80 to 100 metres as you go further north. But some great grades there. We've got several lines of reef that need further exploration, and we're looking to start that at the end of this year and probably leading into next year. So it's very exciting times there as well. Yes, I know it's a gold conference, but I do have to talk about copper because we've just done a capital raising based on what Staveley Minerals has generated at Thursday's Gossan. And so I'm going to touch on some of the reasons of why we're in this part of the world. So basically, we've got a slide here, it shows southeastern Australia. There's 3 volcanic belts. So you've got the Mount Reid volcanics in Tassie, you've got the Staveley Arc out here where we're exploring, and we've got the Macquarie Arc. There's obviously a lot of deposits that come out of the Mount Reids in Tassie. There's the Hellier deposit, Rosebery, and a few others. Within the Macquarie Arc, you obviously got Cadia Valley and Lake Cowell is another deposit there that's an epithermal. So there's a whole range of different styles of deposits in these volcanic arcs. So we think that's the place to be. Staveley Arc has been really underexplored. It hasn't really been systematically tested with exploration for a very long time in comparison to the Mount Reid volcanics and the Macquarie Arc. So we've got here, it's about 99% of the volcanics within the Staveley Arc under shallow cover, and not much exploration has been done. So our copper projects, we have 3.5 tenements, I like to say. We've got a little red dot there, but we've got the ground that surrounds basically Staveley Minerals. We've got Glenlow and the Eclipse project. About a month ago, Staveley Minerals put out a release, a really great drill intercept of 32 metres at basically 6% copper and 58 grams silver. That was at Thursday's Gossan. So that's really changed, I guess, the focus, not just for us, but probably for other people that are exploring in this region. It's looking like the style of mineralisation's a massive sulphide deposit located on the edge of a serpentinite contact. So these serpentinites are very magnetic, so you can sort of see them running through the belt up here. Does a bit of a zigzag here, and then runs up through the Glenlow prospect up through here. They're all the same rocks. Thursday's Gossan rocks the same as Glenlow. So these are all projects that Glenlow and Black Range are 100% owned by us, and the Staveley project's a JV. We're looking to drill about a 9,000 metre air core RC diamond drilling program, testing both the Glenlow and Eclipse, and we're looking to commence this in December. And Staveley Minerals have also commenced a drilling program on one of our targets, joint venture targets on that green tenement there. Glenlow Silver project, so I'll go over this one pretty quickly. It's quite a big complex, so we've got some volcanic belts running on either side of a circular sort of intrusion, we believe. We're getting some excellent first pass drill intercepts, so we're getting 300 to 390 grams silver. There is some gold, zinc, lead. I think we've only just touched the system there, and we need to extend the drill program further east there. That's going to happen fairly shortly. And then the other target that now that Staveley have found this ultramafic that hosts this mineralisation, we've got a couple of targets running along that contact there, and probably the same there. It's very underexplored, and it's got potential for VMS and epithermal deposits. But very early days, but we're just really excited about it as well, and we're going to get into it fairly shortly. Black Range, very quickly, Eclipse prospect. This is a prospect that was drilled by CRA in the 90s. We've come back and done a little bit of work. There's basically a chalcocite blanket here, the copper zone in here. You can see the chargeability feature. It matches the chalcocite zone. It goes underneath this sandstone cover here. We've got a target under there that we need to hit fairly shortly, so we'll want to drill a hole into that. Summary of our programs and news flow going forward. Plenty of news flow because we've got lots of drilling to do in the next 9 months, which is our field season. In summary, we're going to execute the company's gold strategy, which is to do a lot of drilling, 14,000 metres at the Stawell Gold corridor and about 25,000 at Tandara. So this is underway. Our drilling program is underway at the moment. Western Victoria, 9,000 metres there, starting in December. We have great exposure to Victoria's 2 exploration hotspots at the moment, with the central Victorian Tandara deposit and also in the Staveley Arc at the moment. We expect strong news flow in the next 12 months, so yeah, keep a lookout for us. Thank you.